Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of Monday Night Must See TV with the Hudson Valley Squares. We got a fun show planned for you tonight. So we're going to be talking about our favorite opening tracks that kick off an album. Maybe it sets the stage for a great album, or maybe it's the best track on a mediocre album, but that opening track, that opening song is a barn burner. So we've all picked out our favorite five. Very tough assignment because there's so many great kickoff tracks in the world of music. Let me first introduce everybody here on the panel. We got Craig Kaminsky. We've got Ryan Scow. We got Nick Franco. Count Ralphus is here as well. We got Mr. Rob Lasante is here. Karen La Preziosa is here. Bryce Barraza is here. Steve Keeler is here. And Chris Allo is here. We got a big crew tonight. So before we get started, though, talking about these opening tracks, three of the folks here went to a very special metal festival in Houston, Texas over the weekend. Ryan, Bryce, and Chris, you guys want to spend a couple minutes just talking quickly about the festival. Ryan, you want to mention the festival name, where it was, and what it was all about?
Yeah, so we, myself, Chris, and Bryce went to a Hell's Heroes Fest in Houston. Bryce was there last year. It was Chris's first time going. Man, it's just for like sort of classic, traditional heavy metal, more old school. I think it's the best festival in the U.S. First day, it's a lot of upcoming newer bands, a lot of good stuff, indoor, outdoor stage. First year they had the outdoor stage. Heat was a little punishing, but it's March, but it's fucking Houston, so what do you expect? But man, yeah, the first night it was Tom G. Warrior doing his Triumph of Death, so they all played Hellhammer stuff. Violence from California played, huge fucking circle pit, awesome, Kill on Command. Great. The next day it was, let's see, I'm trying to keep this all straight. Ross the Boss played a set of early Man of War, totally blew my voice out, screaming along, signing a hammer, the oath, Blood of My Enemies, Blood of the Kings, the fucking battle hymns, the best. Pagan Altar played. So there was some bands that I got to see that they very rarely play that I love. So Pagan Altar from England came over. They played a set on Saturday, which was like, it was one of those sets where you're in a packed place, everybody's drinking, smoking, partying, you feel like you're the only person in the room. It was that magical. Satan from England played. Razor from Canada, huge fucking circle pit, Violent Restitution. Possessed played. The best I ever heard them. Obviously it's just Jeff Becerra now and some other guys, but they fucking killed it. Played all the old shit from Seven Churches, some new shit. But I'm sure Chris will concur on this. The highlight, one of the biggest highlight was Triptychon did a set of all early Celtic Frost. When I say all early Celtic Frost, it was every song from Morbid Tales, Emperor's Return, and to Megatherion. Now, when I saw them a couple of years ago in the reunion, 2005 or 6, they did a lot of, they played a lot of those songs and they slowed them down a little bit. And that was fine. That's what they were into at the time. But when they kicked off with Into Cryptive Rays full speed, it's like someone threw like a fucking bomb in the pit. Place just exploded. They played everything full speed, or, like Procreation and a Wicked with that real heavy trudge. This one guy kept like smashing into me on the edge of the pit, just grabbing people, throwing people, headbanging, raging. This guy like smashed into me 5 times. He's like, "Oh, I recognize you from the show," because a ton of people recognize me, and I appreciate that. And you guys are fucking awesome. I believe the guy's name was Brandon. So Brandon, you're fucking awesome. Glad you could smash into me a couple times. We had a good time. Yeah, I had a great fucking time. I'm going to go next year. Had a lot of fun party. Got to see a lot of people I don't get to see very often because I love traveling for fests. Just a great fucking weekend. Couple bruises. I was taking a shower this morning. I'm like, man, I had bruises all over the place from the pit. Like, I don't remember that being there, but that's the price of doing business. Fucking blood upon the stage. So, yeah, great fucking set, great weekend, and cheers.
Cool, Bryce. You got a couple things you want to say about the fest?
Yeah, so I was there all 3 days. First night, my highlights were probably Wraith, which is a really cool up and coming like black thrash band. I'm friends with them. Check them out if you don't know them. But Violence as well. I finally got to meet and hang out with my boys in Skull Fist, and they played amazing. Really great Canadian band. Also Riot City. Their singer sounds like Rob Halford in his prime, hitting these screams was amazing to see, and pretty much everything else that Ryan said, just amazing fest. And also Saturday or Friday before, my girlfriend and I, Natalie, we went out to the Texas Chainsaw gas station, which was pretty cool to see. Yeah, we did a little bit of that, went out to see that, and then came back, made it in time for Exciter, which was really great to see as well. But yeah, best American fest in my opinion as well, and I'll definitely be there next year.
Cool. Chris, a couple words, and you got to mention this epic barbecue that you guys had too.
Oh yeah. Ryan took me to Pinkerton's barbecue would be definitely a recommendation. I know I got a friend in Houston, and even my Uber driver, 3 o'clock in the morning when he picked me up at the airport, he's like, "You like to eat?" I'm like, "Well, looking at me, I figured that'd be pretty obvious, but okay." So he's like, "Well, number one on your spot, Pinkerton's Barbecue," and that's where Ryan wanted to take me, and it was unbelievable. The greatest barbecue I have ever eaten, and I like to eat barbecue. But yeah, the fest itself was just mind blowing. It's like a smaller, scaled down version of Maryland Death Fest. It's great for old people like myself because there's only 2 stages. There's a main stage and a small stage. And I loved jumping into the small stage because the main stage was out in the blazing Texas sun, but the second stage was inside of a club, which was dark and air conditioned. So that was great. So I would unfortunately I fucked up and I missed Tower somehow. Even with 2 stages, I'm old enough that I forgot I got the schedule wrong. But my favorite second stage band was, I love female fronted metal. Even though they've been around a while, I never seen them before. Christian Mistress.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
They were super fucking cool. I watched their whole set. I even missed a little bit of the beginning of the Satan set because I dug them so much. But it was a great set. As mentioned, Ryan mentioned the Celtic Frost set. I keep trying to think of another set that was more satisfying than that, and I cannot come up with anything.
More than Merciful Fate?
They played everything. They played everything, Every great show I've ever seen, there's always that, man, I wish they would have fucking done that. And there's nothing else they could have done because they did it all.
Wow.
So I'm still blown away.
And there was no lag. It's like it was 90 minutes, and
yeah.
It felt like it went by in 5 minutes. Because all those songs are so good. Like everybody was
and
singing
I kept
along.
thinking,
it was crazy.
Again, I don't understand why they didn't advertise it as Celtic Frost playing their entire early catalog, because they didn't say that. They just said a set of early classics. So I'm like, okay, what does that mean? That could be 45 minutes. It could be 50 minutes. It could be an hour. I kept going, holy shit. And then after a while, I'm like, they fucking playing everything? And they did.
Very cool.
Yeah. Did you guys see Deneva?
I did not.
No, anybody
so bad.
Anyone who doesn't know them, that was a band I didn't know. I was very surprised by it. They sound like 70s Sabbath, but like faster and a little bit more shreddy mixed in. But like the bass player had a flying V bass, which is really cool. And they just had the total 70s look. So check those guys out too.
Okay.
I'm going to see them next week, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
I can say the one newer band that I saw that I've known him, I've seen him before, and I love him. There's a band from north of Toronto called Freeways. It's very like Thin Lizzy, like old Ashbury, very 70s rock, dual guitar, like little Wishbone Ash, but a little more up tempo. Real smooth. It's like summer drinking music, not really metal, like metal rock. Little Diamond Head in there, but fucking awesome. I've seen him in Canada a couple times, and I think
somebody told me to check him out. And I wound up missing him. I think
you can't see everything because it was like literally one band ended, the next began, so it was like zero overlap.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the other thing too. Like with every fest, it's impossible to see everybody.
If you like Thin Lizzy, check out Freeways. Highly recommend it. Great band.
Awesome. All right, so let's dive into these opening album tracks here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go a couple times around where everybody's going to give 2 picks each turn around, then we'll finish it off with our number ones. Mr. Allo will get you started, then we'll move on to Mr. Keeler. So Chris, your first 2.
Okay, cool. First 2. First one, I went to this was like in '86, I think. My dad took me to this old famous store in White Plains, New York called Harvey's that used to sell like high-end like hi-fi equipment, stereos and stuff. He was going to get me a new stereo. And they also had a real small section of did I lose you guys?
No, we're here.
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they had a real small section of like used stuff. So they had a used tape of this of an album. So I was just going to buy it, and my dad's like, "I'll put it in, make sure it plays right." And they put it in this, this hi-fi store, and they had like every speaker hooked up, and they cranked it, and the fucking walls shook, and it was "Curse the Gods" from Destruction. It had that had that great intro, and then just fucking that just crushes, and I've just always loved that song. That's a great record. So that was my first pick.
Yeah, look around.
Ralph's got it handy. Look at that.
Always.
I love the way how he says like the name of the song and that, I can't do it justice, so I won't.
Where's the guy?
And then my second pick, around the same time, I used to, in fall of '86, here on the East Coast, this DJ, Matt O'Shaughnessy, used to have this show called Midnight Metal. It used to run, it was from New Rochelle, New York, used to run from midnight till 6 a.m., Saturday night till Sunday morning. And, I knew a lot of metal by then, and I liked a lot of metal stuff. But he started talking about this new band that was like the best band in the New York hardcore scene. And I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. But he played this song, and it was We Gotta Know from the Cro-Mags.
Oh, yeah.
And it fucking blew my mind because it starts out so heavy and sort of metallic, and then goes into this other thing which just blew my mind. And I ran out and bought the record, was a huge fan ever since. And those are my first two.
Cool. Steve, you missed it. He picked Curse the Gods from Destruction and We Gotta Know by Cro-Mags.
Okay.
So you're up
Yeah,
next. Now that you're back, welcome back.
My computer decided to reset or something. I hardly ever on this PC, and it seems like to update it whenever I'm doing a program lately.
There you go.
So we're doing 5, you said, right?
Yeah, 2 at a time. So give us your first 2 picks.
All right, cool. So no particular order. I'm gonna go back to 1990 and visit the Slayer album Seasons in the Abyss, and I'm going to go with War Ensemble.
Good one.
Great pick.
Yeah.
The next one in line, I'm going to bring it up to 2018, and I'm going to steal one from Nicholas. I'm going with the Amorphous album Queen of Time, and I'm going with the track The Bee.
Great one.
Fantastic.
It's such a great song. It could be one of my favorite Amorphous songs of all time.
Yeah.
They keep getting better and better.
Great picks. Great picks.
So there's my 2 for a couple more coming up.
All right, cool. Bryce.
All right. So with my first one, first off, I wanted to kind of stray away from my normal picks. There's 3 super obvious ones, which some of these might be kind of obvious also, but yeah. So I'm gonna go with Unchained the Night by Dokken from Under Lock and Key 85. That's just an epic opener. It's got the slow little build up, kind of dark and eerie, and just transitions into that amazing George Lynch riff. That's my favorite Dokken album, and it's an amazing way to start it. And then I'm gonna go with some Swedish kind of Black Death here with Necrophobic. I'm gonna go Celebration of the Goat, their opener from the Death to All album in 2009. We don't really talk about this band too much, but I think they're amazing. Really consistent discography. I saw them at Maryland Death Fest last year. One of my favorite bands from Sweden, and this one surprisingly is actually my favorite album by them. Kind of modern, but I think it's amazing. Great blend of death and black metal. If you like Dissection, you'll definitely like Necrophobic, so check it out.
Bryce, that fucking rules.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great
Talk about Necrophobic in a Cinderella shirt.
That's what makes you so cool.
That's how we do it.
Fuck them.
So I'm surprised you didn't go with Tooth and Nail.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering if there's like a complication there, because there's that little the little opener without warning, and then it leads into I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
We could count it as one, but I mean, I don't know.
Either way, they're both good choices.
Yeah,
so.
true.
All right, Karen, what do you got?
Well, these are really based off of emotion for me, not necessarily the best songs,
No, they should
but
be
the
based
ones
on
that
emotion.
affected me
It should be
the
based on-
most.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many great songs out there. Anyway, so I'm gonna go with "Rapid Fire" from Judas Priest. I was really young when I listened to British Steel, and it really left an impression. I think it's the best song on the album. It's the first song, and to me, it's like the epitome of heavy metal. Halford's voice, that battering ram riff, it's so good, and it's hard to top it. And I was speaking to somebody at Quinn's last week who he watches, and he's from Carmel. I forgot your name, dude, and I know you're in a Judas Priest tribute band. You know what I'm talking about. Rapid Fire, put it in your set. You won't be sorry. We talked about this already. Also, I'm going to go with Motorhead, Ace of Spades. It was nothing like I've ever heard before. It was chaotic, messy, loose. I mean, heavy metal was so much more like look at Judas Priest, like the song I just used. It's the voice. It was nothing like metal I've ever heard before, and that blew me away. It's an obvious pick, but it's got to be there. So those are my two. Set the tone.
The bass tone of Lemmy.
Right on. I mean, the tone for my musical journey.
Rapid Fire is such a good pick. That's such an underrated Priest classic.
Super good song.
It is.
Super
It
good.
is.
Yes.
I'm so into it.
Rob, you're up.
Hey, well, I have to go with what Karen just said because these picks for me, most of these picks, they're more emotional, more how I grew up with, and
Yeah.
I'll go back to '76, and the first time I heard Kiss, Detroit Rock City, that whole intro, and then going into the song, and then it just the chords. I mean, and Peter Chris's drumming, and amazing to me. As you know, what was that? 14 years old, 13 years old, like that. And so for me, that was one of my. Still to this day, I still get chills when I freaking put that song on. I just love that song so much, and it's just one of the best intros I've ever heard. My number 4, because we're going backwards, that was my 5. 4 for me is 1981. Van Halen, Fair Warning, Mean Streets.
Oh,
First time I heard that opening song, and I heard Eddie tapping. I mean, now I already knew who Eddie was. We all knew Eddie by 81, but I mean, that intro was amazing. It was just, it kicked the shit out of me. I remember going, I'll never forget it. My buddies were in the car, had a couple, and we're driving around at 12 o'clock at night, and we listened to that album like 20 times that night. I mean, and we couldn't stop listening to that song. So for me, those are my 2 first picks. I liked your pick though with Motorhead too.
Yeah.
Oh.
Cool.
Van Halen, that was a great choice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
really.
Killer opener. Ralph, you're up.
Nice
Well,
shirt, Ralph. Nice shirt.
all 5 of my picks have an intro to it, like so I didn't count that as like the lead off track, the intro, but it goes into the first track. So my first one I'm going to go with is Beyond the Gates album. The intro starts with this big epic intro, and then it goes into the song The Heretic. This is the original gatefold that opens up to like a scene in hell.
Nice.
Huge.
Oh, Ralph.
I remember when I bought that Possessed LP. I bought it from Steve actually all those years ago. I remember like what the hell is all this?
Yeah.
There's a lot going on there. It's a busy area.
Yeah,
It's like a map. Sometimes it's tough to fold it back in order.
Yeah, it's such weird, unorthodox drumming going on in there, and the crunchy riffs and killer leads, and Jeff Becerra's vocals are just unbelievable. He sings so evil and heavy, but it's like you can understand every word to it. I used to learn the words to every song on this album. Real classic album. And my number 2, and these aren't in order for me, I just the way I got them pulled out, but I'm gonna go the Plasmatics. That's why I'm wearing the shirt from early 1984. It starts off with an intro called Incantation. It goes into the song Master Plan, but there's like a ringing of a bell, then some occult like chanting, and then it goes into Wendy O. Williams' great singing voice. Wendy O. Williams is my favorite all-time female performer. This is a great book that I read last year. If anybody's into this, there's a lot of cool stuff in this book that I never heard of before. If you're into Plasmatics and Wendy O. Williams, check out this book. But yeah, that's it. Those are my first 2.
Cool.
Very cool.
I was going to ask if anybody knows Steve looked like he was either frozen or he was slumping over in his chair. And he was gone.
You worried that Steve Keeler had a heart attack during the
I
show?
was like, "Are you all right, Steve?" He was
Love
like,
picking on
Jesus.
Steve.
I bought it from you, Steve. Steve?
I
hopefully he'll
just
jump
do
back
love
up.
picking on him. Oh my god.
All right, Nick Franco,
What's up?
what's going on?
Good to be here. How you doing?
We've had you 2 shows in a row, man. That's.
I know. Don't
We
worry.
got a streak going on. We got a streak.
Happy to be here. This was tough. I was going through and realizing there's so many, but I'm gonna do kind of randomly as well, and not in any real order. One of them, I'm just gonna say I think I'm leaving for Bryce, but we'll see if he if it's one I think he's gonna pick. So for me, my first one is gonna be something that when I heard it, I had never heard anything like this before, and it's doesn't happen too often in life. And this might surprise you because everybody's picking these classic metal stuff, but I'm gonna actually come up with Demanufacture by Fear Factory in 1995.
Oh.
They were a death metal band, and then they had this industrial EP, and then they came out with this thing, and it wasn't going to be a long love affair with this band for me, but when I was 18 years old, hearing this industrial like machinery clanking, and then like the keyboard tone, like that creepy post-apocalyptic, and then when a crushing beat came in, like this song Demanufacture is just ridiculous. And then Burton Bell, yeah, I'm sorry, the vocalist Burton Bell, his vocals start out like, it's not just screaming. He's got like a cool, clean vocal that's like, again, it's very futuristic for the time. And I think the album's aged well. And so that's my first one, Demanufacture, the song.
He's not dead.
Yeah. And then, I mean, I could pick so many, but I'm going to go with something here that I think everybody here is going to know and love. I remember a friend of mine in high school. I was like maybe in 10th grade, 9th, 10th grade. And I was just expanding into this whole world of really, really, more extreme stuff. And we were over his house, and we may have been cutting class. I'm not sure, but he threw on some things. And one of the things he threw on was Show No Mercy by Slayer.
Nice. Yeah.
And I gotta say, I was thinking about, Ryan, we were talking about different Slayer songs. You could pick so many, but there was something about Evil Has No Boundaries.
Great song.
That scream.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then when he just comes in, blasting our way through the boundaries of hell. I mean, I was just like, holy shit. Like, it just fucking blew my doors off. And to this day, whatever production they had or the way the drums sounded, who gives a shit? That is some of the most evil, immediate, and fucking amazing opening song you'll ever hear. So those are my first two.
Cool. Yeah. Steve, don't feel bad. There must be a curse of the Zoom room, because we taped in the proxy before this, and Lewis had the exact same problems. The whole show, he kept cutting in and out, in and out, in and out. He was driving him nuts.
My computer says there's some kind of error, and it goes off. Yet I was on last couple of weeks and was fine. I don't know.
Curse of tonight's Zoom, I guess.
What was Ralph's picks? I think I lost you on Ralph. I don't know if I lost him to anybody else.
Ralph picked up Possessed, and what was the other one, Ralph? Plasmatics.
Okay, I had that question too. If you can pick an opener that has like an instrumental intro, a short intro.
No,
it's got a.
Well, Ralph already did, so screw you, Scout.
No. It's on like Donkey Kong. All right, let's go.
And those were mine, Steve.
There you go. Fear Factory.
Okay, cool.
All right, Mr. Pagan Altar, you're up.
All right, so I'll pick an album that has an intro. Why not?
No, you're not allowed.
Not allowed. I'm also doing it kind of random, but the first two are bands that I saw at the fest this weekend, just the stuff's fresh in my memory, and that's just how it works. So the first one is the first song that Triptychon played from Morbid Tales, 1984, Into the Crypt of Rays. Now on the album, it's got the human intro, like that screaming kind of thing, and it kicks in like a sledgehammer. They didn't do the intro live, but it doesn't matter. But yeah, first Celtic Frost song I ever heard. Obviously I'm a little younger, so I didn't get into them like Hellhammer or Celtic, but I just ended up buying Morbid Tales. When I was younger, I heard that. I'm like, geez, oh my God, it's amazing. Whole EP is great, but yeah, that opening song, it's like this high-powered thrash attack. And the second one was one of the bands I wanted to see the most, a little bit more of an obscure British band from the early 80s that never really got to do anything back then, but they finally came back around. Now they put out some albums, played some shows, and kind of built their legacy up many years later. And they played the song live, which is great because I love it. And that band is Pagan Altar, and the song is Lords of Hypocrisy off the album Lords of Hypocrisy. And this is a reissue that's got this absolutely fucking amazing. It's got this embossed foil reflect. It's just like one of the nicest gatefolds in my collection.
Cool.
I obviously own a lot of records, but yeah, my friend Anik, this came out on her label. She reissued it, and she did a graphic design for it, and it looks amazing. It's like a new wave of British heavy metal, man. If you've never heard Pagan Altar, But they have like this very weird English kind of mystical, folksy, not like folk metal, but like kind of like just very, very English sounding band. And they don't really sound like anything else. I've always thought like some bands, some of those old English bands like Priest, you can sit in a room, everybody can sing along, pound some beers like rapid fire. I was talking to some friends about this band at the fest. Peg and Alter is like you sit in a room with headphones, listen to them by yourself, and kind of like go to other places. Like it's that kind of band. Like when I was watching them at the fest, middle of the day, the sun's blasting down, everybody's drinking, smoking, partying. I felt like I was the only one in the whole venue watching this band. They just have that kind of power with their music. And then the opening song is "Lords of Hypocrisy" is fucking great. A little raw. Like obviously they weren't a big budget band. Not a lot of money for studios, not that Martin Birch stuff, but I think it sounds really good. I love this album. I love everything they did. And yep, Peg and Alter.
Cool. It's a good one. All right, I've been thinking over the last week that Craig and I are probably going to have some overlap because we generally do on these sort of things, but we'll see. So, what do you got, Craig? First two.
All right, my first one here. This is a CD that I kind of bought as a chance from reading one of Martin Popoff's books, and he had such a good review of it. Never even heard it at the time, bought it and loved it. So this is one of New York's finest, the Dictators, and the song is Faster and Louder from 1978. Great, like punk sort of metal-ish song. And on lead guitars, Mr. Ross, the fucking boss. So wonderful song. If you don't know it, just go out and find it on YouTube. 3 minutes of it's like a 3-minute explosion. You'll love it. Nice. Second pick. This is just kind of more a nostalgic pick, even though I love this song. When I was young, we would with my friends, we would always go out to parties, sporting events, whatnot. And my one buddy usually drove. He drove a van, and so I would ride shotgun. So I controlled the radio and everything, or a cassette deck. And so almost all the time, our lead off track would be "It's a Long Way to the Top If You Want to Rock and Roll,"
Yes.
because it starts with riding on the highway, going to a show. As I've gotten older, lyrics matter. The end of it sort of resonates with me more, where he says, "Getting old, getting gray, being ripped off, underpaid, getting sold secondhand." That's how it goes.
Playing in the band.
So those are my first two picks.
Cool. All right, we did not pick any of the same ones. There you go. Good.
I did have that one on my list, though, Greg.
Yeah. So far, has anybody picked stuff that's already been picked? Just out of curiosity.
I had Van Halen, Fair
Karen
Warning.
had Ace of Spades. I picked it from the compilation from.
Gotcha.
No
Okay. Yeah,
I bet we're gonna have a couple overlapping, but there's
that's why I came with like
the
15.
Destruction. That was great pick. I mean,
Yeah,
these
that
guys.
was
Geek.
Yeah.
I had this
Honorable
Destruction and
mention.
Cro-Mag sitting on the side here because I had them as honorable.
Yeah, I've got so many honorable mentions. Yeah.
I had Mean Street down as a pick too. That's not sure if I was going to use it or not.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, so let's see. My first two. What am I going to choose from? All right, I'm going to throw the real Captain Obvious one out because I want to pick it before anybody else does. But the title track to "Burn" by Deep Purple.
Nice.
On here, it's probably my number one. That's pretty obvious. And then another absolute killer that's been one of my favorite opening tracks since the album came out in the mid 80s, Wake Up Dead by Megadeth from Peace Sells, But Who's Buying? Absolutely killer. I
Great song.
heard that song a million times. Every time I hear it, man, I just remember like the first time I ever saw them live and was in the middle of that mosh pit just going nuts. And I was like, it just brings back lots of great memories. Such a killer song. So Wake Up Dead and Burn are my first two picks. And we're going to go back to Mr. Keeler all the way down at the bottom of the Zoom.
Boom. Maybe as long get me before my power goes out or whatever.
Yes.
So I'm going back to 2002. I'm going to Sweden again. I'm going with Dark Tranquility off the album Damage Done with the opening track, Final Resistance.
Good pick.
And next in line, I am going. Boy, it's tough. I got a couple I haven't picked yet. Somebody's going to pick this one. If they don't, this show should be shut off and erased. So I'm not going to pick it yet either. Let's see if it happens. I'm going back to Sweden again in 1992, and I'm going black metal with Marduk, Dark Endless. with the intro track. Of course, the intro is track of the goes into that, and it's just still fucking dead. There's no peace. It's such a great Marduk song, and that in the opening intro is almost like it's like an Exorcist type, just like this crazy intro. So you have to listen to it. But I'm going Marduk and Dark Tranquility.
All right.
Steve, that Marduk, that's a great choice. I was thinking about them too.
So Nick and me are going to be seeing them in Finland in a couple months here.
Damn
Lucky.
right.
And
Very
Ryan,
lucky.
Ryan, are you going?
No.
No.
Couldn't get on board.
No, I can't. Blah blah blah.
I got excuses right here. I'm doing other
Be
stuff.
nice.
I got plans.
I got you. Got you.
Hopefully they come back to state so I can see them.
There you go. They generally do. So we'll see.
They haven't been over here in quite a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Well, I was gonna say I keep hearing visa issues, right? Because I heard Demon was supposed to play the festival this weekend, and yeah, I had heard somebody at the fest told me that they had a visa issue, and that's why they couldn't play. The states had canceled and were replaced by Exciter,
Oh,
Yes, which was
okay.
still good because Exciter
which
were
was
off.
still very good. They were
Mhm.
great,
The Exciter
but
were off.
I've never seen Demons, so I was a little bummed on
Oh,
that.
me
There's
either,
a
yeah.
lot of problems with visa for bands coming in from Canada and Europe right now.
Yep. Yep.
They're getting very expensive.
All right, Chris, back to you.
Okay, this was a band that was around for a long time. They had a big name in the underground, but I was never a humongous fan. Never saw them live, but there was a big buzz on this record that was called Blind, and I got an advance copy because I was doing college radio at the time, and the opening track is an intro called These Shrouded Temples, and then it kicks into this song called Damned for All Time, and it fucking blew my mind as a lifelong love affair with Corrosion of Conformity ever since. Then that goes back to the Blind record. And the other one, somewhat similar story to Nick, but Nick said this was not a lifelong love affair. And again, I don't know, maybe I'm too much of a softie or too sentimental or whatever, but I was 1992, I believe. I was driving somewhere in New Jersey, and WSOU played this song, and I was like, what the fuck is this? Because it's like kind of death metal, but kind of industrial, and there was two singers, and the name of the song was Martyr, and it was from this new band called Fear Factory. And I was like, what the fuck? And then I went like a week later and I bought the record, and I'm like, oh, you idiot, it's the same singer. He's just doing clean vocals and growling vocals. But I just instantly fell in love with the band, and that opening track, Martyr, still my favorite song on that record.
Chris, if I can just jump in very quickly, that Soul of a New Machine, that record, how heavy was that? Right, super ridiculous
unbelievable.
heavy.
And back then I was a little bummed that there wasn't more melodic vocals, and of course, which they would do much more on Demanufacture, which I absolutely agree. That's their best record.
Right around that time, I was a camp counselor in the summer.
Oh,
Yeah, and on the camp, on the bus, I guess I took the bus. I don't know why I took the bus. I don't think I drove. I don't know. I don't remember. All I know is I brought a radio, and I played Fear Factory. I thought that would be a good idea, and I played Soul of the New Machine.
How young were the kids?
Of 7-year-olds, and they were terrified.
Terrified.
And that's my story.
Warp.
Funny.
You know, one of those kids finally, he's like, man, this one time, this crazy guy, he played this
Still
shit.
telling that
And,
story now. Yep.
yeah, they got a good memory of it.
Hope
Yeah,
so.
funny.
It made a difference.
Yeah.
So
Get you right here.
Cool.
ready to sing it, boys.
There you go. All right, Bryce.
With my number 3, I'm gonna go One by One by Immortal from their 2002 album. Yeah, Sons of Northern Darkness. That's actually my favorite album by them. I really like it when they kind of switched over to the more black thrash style, which is really prevalent here. It's very heavy, brutal. Love Abbot's vocals. Love Horg's drumming. Just amazing song. And that one, like, my brother isn't super into like the really extreme like black metal and thrash metal stuff like that. So whenever my brother was in the car with me for a while, that's the first song I would put on and just blast it as heavy as it would go, and he would just get annoyed. But that is my number 3. My number 2, I'm gonna go 24 Hours Ago by Savatage.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, love that one. Love the rhythm of it, the riff. Chris Oliva was just an absolute god on guitar. His solos, his tone all throughout that song is amazing. John, his brother, on vocals, very powerful, unique voice, and whole band just absolutely killing it there. So that is my number 2, 24 hours ago.
It is a great pick. I'm pissed that I didn't pick it myself because it's one of my albums all the time. Good stuff. All right, cool. Karen.
This is so hard. This is so freaking hard. This is so hard.
You got to pick.
Is it hard? Is it
Oh
difficult?
my God. My
How
head's
hard
gonna
is it?
explode. All right. This is I'm gonna lump these 2 songs together because they are both punk rock songs, and while I heard them a little late, I heard like from when they were released, I heard them at the same time, and they really kicked my ass and changed me, who I am, and really shaped who I am today. And that is Wealth Rules by Broken Bones off of them Bones, and Rise Above from Black Flag off of Damage. They were singing to me, I'm on to you. Wealth rules. You liar, you liar, you liar. I know what you're about. It's about corruption. It's about keeping people down. And Rise Above is about we're on to you and we're rising above despite your bullshit and corruption. I was young and this shit meant something to me. This meant something to me. You hear these angry, pissed off kids screaming, you liar, you liar, you liar, you never tell the truth. I mean, what do I got? Turn on the radio and it's like, wake me up before you go. All right, fuck that. Fuck that. Like, this is real. And it was like this, people are screaming about this shit. It was definitely important to me. And while, like I said, they're not the best punk songs ever, they really, so that's my tie for number 3. And I'm going to go back to Doom. I'm going to say El Padrino from Church of Misery, Houses of the Unholy, a fucking amazing, heavy, dense record. And I'm telling you, people, if you ever get the chance to see Church of Misery, do it. You will not be sorry. They are the epitome of doom metal as far as I'm concerned. That's it. I mean, they're perfect. And they don't come around too much. They're from Japan. So yeah, that's it for me.
I'm like 95 or maybe 96% sure they played Maryland Death Fest and I saw them, Church of Misery, but
yeah, well, before COVID, they were coming around and like I saw them twice before COVID.
I think I saw them. I honestly, like, I don't have that amazing Chris Allo memory, so I don't fucking remember who I've seen, but I'm like 96% sure I've seen them.
I saw them at St. Vitus, and if anybody's curious, there's a really good quality video of them playing St. Vitus, and they open up with El Padrino. And it's like a punch in the gut. It's like, whoa, I don't know. You're hit by it's some eye-rolling shit, man, and I really guarantee you'll love it.
Cool.
That's it.
All right. Rob.
Well, I was thinking, you're talking about a punch in the gut and all that, and I remember when Chris is probably going to hate me on this one, but I remember when I heard this song and you knew Sabbath was back. Neon Nights. Yeah. I mean, that guitar and then Ronnie coming in. Holy crap.
Chris is like, why am I hating you?
Yeah, I wouldn't hate that, Rob. That's fine by me.
No, I'm saying like, it's, actually, well, I'm not going to get into that, but I have The Heaven and Hell to me is one of the greatest albums ever made. So, I mean, every song on it to me is great. But this song, when I first heard it, and to this day, when I get in the car, I have a Sabbath playlist. That's the first song I always play. It's just like, it gets me going. I mean, I got to be worried about, getting pulled over because sometimes it's heavy on the gas, but yeah, Neon Nights is just the guitar and Geezer and then just Ronnie just was so powerful on that song. And I just love that song. So it's one of the best openers I've ever heard. My next one's going to be, well, I think everybody knows I'm going to pick this one. I had to pick at least one. So when I first heard Screaming for Vengeance and the Hellion started into Electric Eye, I mean, come on. I mean, Halford was, and everything about that whole song and everything about that album is, classic metal. But I mean, that sets the tone. for me for the album. It set the whole tone. I was like, what is Priest doing? And and it just, for me, that's one of the greatest opening songs ever. I mean, the other one, I know that probably somebody's gonna have that one. I have that on my list too. So, but then I mean, this one is my top one. I mean, again, it's it's a nostalgic, as Craig said. So those are my other two.
Good stuff. It was a classic.
Your heart.
Ralph.
All right, I'm gonna go with my favorite Bathory album, Under the Sign of the Black Mark. It starts off with this howling wind. Sounds like it's blowing through like caverns of hell, and then you can hear this like faint, far off music that sounds like it's coming out from deeper in hell. And then all of a sudden they bust into the song Massacre. It's not my favorite song on the album, but it just sets the tone for the album. It's pure raw black metal. 1,000 bands cloned after that song, and I mean after this whole album. And then my next one is Necrophagia, Season of the Dead. Has a acoustic sounding intro that morphs into like something out of like an Evil Dead movie, and it goes into the song Forbidden Pleasure. It has such a sick riff through it. It came out in 1987, the same year as Scream Bloody Gore, and it's considered one of the earliest death metal releases, even though there's not like a ton of double bass, but it's just real evil, like horror like lyrics. And like on the back, the zombie's wearing a Fangora shirt. This is where it kind of all came together to me, that like the horror and metal like really go together. I mean, there was the Misfits and a couple other bands that had that vibe, but yeah, this the way this album kicks off, it sets the tone perfectly, and real classic album to me.
If I remember correctly, Steve Keeler, I think I bought that album and Scream Bloody Gore from you on the exact same day.
Cool.
Way
Cool.
back when. Way back when.
Look,
Way
I know
back.
what happened for
I
breakfast.
remember that.
I just sold a Scream Bloody Gore back batch on Saturday. Still selling Scream Bloody Gore stuff. And the album I just sold again, the reissue.
Nice. So yeah, people
Still selling.
still love the Dead stuff. There you go. Very cool. All right, Nick, back to you.
All right. Yeah, I think I was trying to get away from doing my usual amorphous and primordial picks for things, because I can always pick them, but I decided to go slightly different direction. I still stuff that I love almost pretty much as much. And the first one is a lesser known band that I have talked about from Belgium, Ancient Rites, and the album is Fatherland. And a lot of people probably haven't heard these guys. So it's an intro track that bleeds into the first proper song, and the intro track is called Evanland or something like that. It's like some place in Europe probably, because all of their music is about history, and it's a real like epic classical intro with horns and a whole like really orchestral, adventurous, like right before battle feeling. And then it rips into the song Mother Europe, which is one of my favorite songs of all time, and that starts out with just a wicked guitar leads just coming in like total metal, total, so you go from this medieval feeling and setting, or like, oh, we're back in the 12th century here and we're getting ready for battle, and all of a sudden it's just pure heavy metal greatness. So that hit me really hard. So Ancient Rites, Fatherland.
Nick,
And
what year
then
did that come out?
this, I want to say 98, but let me just everything's
Something strikes me funny about Ancient Rites, Nick. Something like what is
What's
it? I
that?
think you'll be seeing them in like 3 weeks.
Oh yeah, it came out. They recorded it in early '98.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just wanted to listen. I know I saw them once at Vakken.
Yeah.
But I was wondering if it was around there. Yeah, it was right around there.
Yep. Cool. Wow, that's awesome that you got to see them. So they're my biggest bucket list band, as Ryan just said. We are finally. I don't even want to like jinx it. I don't want to like say that.
Nothing.
Yeah, but they're next month in Chicago. It'll be about 24 years that I've been waiting
Go-Go's.
to
Our
see
lips
this
are
band.
sealed. Won't say another word.
Yeah, well, whatever. It's so that I really, really can't wait. I highly recommend Ancient Rites, guys. And great guys too. And then the next one, I'm going to go up to Finland.
I'm
Ulu.
shocked.
Yeah, I know. To Oulu, Finland, near the Arctic Circle, for Sentenced. And the album is called Amok. Excuse me. Sorry.
Is that the name of the song?
No, the song is called "The War Ain't Over," and I heard this in 1995 when it came out. Walking into a little store in Ossining, New York, called The Alternative, and us degenerate punk metalheads walked in, and me and my friends and the proprietor took one look at us, and he's like, "Okay," and he started putting on music, and he put on a song from this album called Nepenthe, and I fell in love with that. This is like, man, it's got like the heart and spirit of an Iron Maiden, with some death vocals, but like some of the best guitar work. And when The War Ain't Over comes in, it just the album begins with like, it's just a real sets the mood for like before a battle. I don't have the musicians' words, and so without you actually listening to it, I can't really do it justice, but it's a very tension building beginning with the cymbals, just holding, and like, the guitar coming in, and it sounds like a plane coming over your head. And then you hear this like really high, sweet keyboard, like couple notes, and then you hear a guy yelling, and then a bomb explode, and the music just starts like an Iron Maiden song. The guitar lead comes in. One of the most exciting openings to an album that you'll hear. And this album has held up all these years. An original vinyl of this is going for like $300 online. If anybody, please message the YouTube comments if anybody sees this thing affordable, because I have the original CD here from 95. I would love the vinyl. Amok. Great album. All metalheads, listen to this album.
It's your homework.
Yeah.
All right, Ryan.
All right, so I'm going to go with, like you guys said, this was almost impossible to narrow down. So these are two albums and bands that, when I was younger, early 20s, like really kind of starting to, obviously I was already real into metal, but really starting to dig into like the underground. I heard these albums and these songs, and they just kind of like, they're songs that like, are they the best song on the album? Probably not, but like some of you guys have said, like it's a perfect song to like draw you in. And then like the rest of the album kind of unfolds almost like a book. It's very like cinematic music to me. So the first one is one of my favorite American heavy metal bands. First album I heard from them. So the first song I heard from them, because generally it's like, oh, what album should I check out from these guys? And this one kind of gets the pop most often, but pretty obscure. And that is Manila Road from Wichita, Kansas. And it does open, it has a little scary, spooky sounds intro. Then it goes into Acropolis, which they always played live. And, they were a classic metal band. Unfortunately, Mark Shelton died a couple of years ago, and he was the main guy. He was like the Dave Mustaine of the band. So without him, there's no Manila Road. So they broke up. But, it's a short song, because they have some longer songs, some more epic songs, some like real grandiose stuff. But they've got a lot of like just short, fast bangers too. And Acropolis was always like the crowd favorite, singing along. It just draws you in. It's got kind of like a rough, kind of scuzzy sound, because again, very DIY, no money for big budgets, no fancy studios or anything like that. But to me, it's perfect. I wouldn't change a thing. I put it on, and immediately it's one of those albums where I have to listen to the whole album. But as soon as I hear Necropolis, it doesn't matter if I'm driving, I'm breaking the speed limit. If I'm with other people in the car, they're gonna listen to me sing it. Fuck them if they don't care.
You and Rob can race.
Yeah, it's just racing out of
Right.
And from there, the album goes through like softer stuff and more like I said, cinematic, like very epic stuff, grandiose. But Necropolis is just a fucking banger. I saw them many times. Fortunately, before Mark passed away, they played it every time, and every time the crowd just went nuts. And they were one of the best live bands I've ever seen. They always play like tiny venues. I saw them like St. Vitus, Dingbats, and Jersey, like little bars. They were basically that was the size that they would draw. But I didn't give a fuck, because they just ruled. They play like they were playing for Giant Stadium. Like they had that intensity and energy. 10 people or 1 million people. So Manila Road. And Chris mentioned before regarding the Celtic Frost set, of how it might have been one of the most satisfying sets he's ever seen. So the most satisfying set that I've ever seen was the first time I went to Norway in 2018 for Beyond the Gates. There's a lot of great bands, obviously great visiting a new country, all that stuff. But the main reason that got me there was the original band of Attila, who later joined Mayhem. But before he was in Mayhem, he was in a Hungarian band called Tormentor. And they put out a couple, it's not even an album, it was actually a demo. They kind of got reissued, now it's like an album, but it really was intended as a demo. The album was Anno Domini, and this is it from 1989. It's got a cool cover right there.
Yeah, sure does. I like that.
The song was just called Tormentor 1. And don't worry, later on the album, there's Tormentor 2. But Tormentor 1 kicks it off. And like, this is one of like, we've all had this experience. You see a band, like, how's it going to be? First time reuniting. It's gonna be good, bad. It could go a million ways. And this was a reunion for a band that hadn't been around in a while. It was, to me, that performance was the single best live set I've seen in my entire life. Like, it was like, I brought tears to my eyes. It was that level. I'm standing there like, I didn't believe I'd ever fucking hear this. And they just nailed it 8 billion%. It was so fucking good. It sounded so good. It's Norway, so it's not like a moshing kind of crowd, because that's just not how they are over there. So I just stood there basically just headbanging and just like soaking it in. And they played this whole album because they don't have a lot of material. And this is like their highlight. So they played the whole Anno Domini album, a couple songs from the earlier Seventh Day of Doom demo, but perfect, fucking perfect. And to hear that live for the first time, it's like, I still get goosebumps thinking about it. Amazing.
That's a great cover.
We saw them in the next
Great
year,
album.
Maryland Death Fest, right?
Yeah, we saw them in Maryland Death Fest. They played
They
that.
were-
I also saw them in Montreal. So I was
Yeah.
able to see them 3 times on like that run of
So
shows.
good. So
I'm Adam, but I know the Maryland Death Fest show was great. When I saw him at Messe des Morts in Montreal, also great, but nothing like your first time. So that first show in Bergen, Norway, at Beyond the Gates was just, it was transcendental. It was, to me, I try to think of, like, I've seen a lot of good shows. We talk about it a lot. What are the best shows you've ever seen? But that performance is solidly the single greatest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. So Tormentor 1 by Tormentor is my number 2.
How hard is that album to find? Yeah.
It's actually not hard to find at all, because Attila, well, I mean, the original demo probably goes, well, you're just not going to find it at all, because it was only like a couple tapes pressed for friends. And that's like shit, like, they pressed it on tape, they mailed it, and that's how Attila got into Mayhem, because the copies got to Euronymous, and they're like, this guy's fucking great. We need a singer. The old singer's dead, unfortunately. But so they brought him up to Norway, and he sang on the Mysterious Dumpsathanis, and the rest is history. But he reissued it. Actually, I think Season of Mist, if you know that record label, carries.
Oh, yeah, I deal with them.
Yeah, so you can get this. You can get this.
I need to get that for sure.
Yeah, it's great fucking band, but yeah, they're just.
I mean,
awesome.
you turned me onto them several years ago, but you knew how much I'm into Attila.
It is
so good.
I love his vocals. His vocals in Mayhem are great, but his vocals on this, the intro to the song Elizabeth Bathory.
Oh yeah,
that's your homework. Listen to Elizabeth Bathory.
Great stuff.
It's the 4th song on the album, but it's fucking awesome.
Two good picks, Scout. Me and Scout, I'm going to give Scout some love. So 2 good picks. And Necropolis, that song is a great song, and Visigoth covered that song.
I saw Visigoth this weekend.
Visigoth played that festival, right?
I saw them, and they were good.
They do a cover of Necropolis.
They did not do it live, but
not live, but they did on I think on their second album.
Let's mark the date and time. Steve Keeler gave me some love. 9:03 p.m.
Maybe now you can give me
Eastern time. March 27, 2020.
Mark it down. And behave yourself. Stay in your lane.
Rob, did you have a question for Ryan? I know you were.
I was just gonna say, is that did Tipper Gore endorse that?
Oh, well, I don't think in 1989. I mean, I guess was that still going on in '89?
Well,
just
even if it was,
that was not on it. She was going.
It was too far underground for
obscure demo bands in Hungary, which was still, I think.
I just think, because I look at the cover and I'm like, oh,
that's a great cover. That's a great cover.
It is. It's really cool.
She was too worried about Wasp at that time.
Love it. I love it.
I got at least 2. I've got 2 T-shirts with this art on it in like different iterations. So
that's great.
I agree.
And you're saying about how the production is a little muddy. So what?
It's what I mean. I like that stuff. I like raw sound. It is muddy, but like you hear it, it's perfect. If I couldn't picture this with like clear sound, it just, you hear an album, and that's how it should sound to you.
Yeah.
There's certain
I think
music.
it's great.
Yeah, it's got to be raw.
It's got to be raw. Yeah, and that album's it's perfect. So that's my number 2.
All right, Craig.
Rob had mentioned Kiss earlier, and I wanted to give out one too. In the late '80s or so, when I was buying a whole bunch of Kiss albums, and this one always stuck me good, and I always love it. That's Creatures of the Night. And where Eric Carr's drums sound like cannons on this. It's a great return to some more metallic playing from them. Probably their heaviest album, definitely up at that point. And my second pick, and I'm not the biggest fan of long songs, but for this this one here, I make an exception, and all 10 minutes of it is great and entertaining and keeps your interest the whole way. From 1976, Achilles' Last Stand from Led Zeppelin,
Yes.
Presence. So just a great kickoff track, and easily probably the best song on the album, and a great driving tune to hold your interest the whole way, and just a great one.
Awesome pick. And I just realized that I forgot to list Butch's picks. So let me give Butch's first four here. So we got Johnny from Thin Lizzy from the Johnny the Fox album. He's got Machine Messiah from Yes's Drama album.
Wow.
We got Headhunter from Crocus from that album with the same name.
Wow.
I've heard that name in a long time.
I know,
right? Okay.
Crocus.
And Barracuda from Heart's third
Wow.
album, right?
Good pick.
So, yeah. All right. So what am I going to pick? Well, I'm amazed nobody has picked this one, so I'm going to do it right now. So I remember back in the early 80s, one of my buddies who was also into metal says to me, man, I got this great import album from Record World in Middletown that from a band that I've never heard before, but I just bought it because the cover was so cool. You have got to hear this album after school. So I'm like, all right, cool. So after school, we go over to his house. We go down to his basement where he had a stereo system. He puts this album on by this band from Germany I never heard before.
I feel like I know what it's going to be.
I hear Heidi hi ho.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, and it all screams, and it's like Fast as a Shark from Restless and Wild. One of the great metal openers ever.
Oh,
There you go,
Great.
Pogo.
Just so good. So so Fast as a Shark from Restless and Wild is my next pick. And then where do I go next? Well, I can't not pick a Black Sabbath song. Because right, Chris? Just gotta pick
Well, I
Black Sabbath.
purposely
So
did
many.
pick a
Like,
Black
what
Sabbath
album?
song, 'cause I'm always
Yeah,
talking
I
about
know.
it.
And part of me really wanted to pick War Pigs because it's fucking great.
It's
But I'm
great.
gonna go with Hole in the Sky from Sabotage, which is a
yeah.
barber of an
Oh.
opening track. So so Hole in the Sky from Sabbath. I also had Sabbath Bloody Sabbath on here as well because they're all amazing. That Sabbath had so many great openers, but I'm gonna stick with Hole in the Sky from Sabotage from Black Sabbath. So that and Fast as a
Great
Shark
one.
are my next two, and we'll go out to our last picks. Back to Mr. Keeler.
Cool. Hey, War Pigs wouldn't have been a bad choice either.
Oh, all three of them are great, Steve. I figured.
You know, I was we just had Into the Void at the at Quinn's, and when I heard that day again, like how many times that song could get played out, but
Never
man, the
gets old.
song's timeless because we've got war going on again, and the lyrics of that it just strikes home with everything, you know.
Right on.
Innocent people being destroyed over the war machine, and what a great song. I'm gonna pick a song. I don't think anybody's picked it, even though my internet's been in and out a bunch of times. I have a few songs that I was gonna mention, but I'm going to 1970, and it's a song I hear all day in my store because I have the pinball machine. It's Led Zeppelin 3, the Immigrant Song.
Yeah,
mean,
good choice. Yeah.
That's the best song on that album, I say. It's one
I
of the
think
best
so.
Led Zeppelin songs ever, and a lot of people will say, "Hey, that's a Zeppelin song." Everyone knows it's an Immigrant Song, and it's such a heavy Zeppelin song.
Great pick, Steve. Yep.
Yeah, good
And
pick, Steve.
You're coming back around for honorables?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Just making sure. So
What do you got, Chris?
All right, I'm picking a song from an album I really don't like. I really like this band, and I really like this song. I mentioned this story on Friday at the festival. I was hanging out with this guy named Denny Axe, super cool metal guy from Ohio, and he was like, "Oh, you ever been to Texas before?" I go, "Yeah, it's been years, but the last time I was here, Iron Maiden's publicist flew me to Dallas, Texas, to hear this then brand new Iron Maiden record, interview the band, and see the opening night of their tour." And they put us in a bus and they took us to this recording studio, me and a bunch of other writers. Thankfully, the band wasn't there. And they played this opening track, which I was like blown away. The song was Satellite 15, The Final Frontier. I thought it was the greatest fucking song. I'm like, holy shit. I was wetting myself. I'm going to love this record. And the rest of the album was like a fucking wet fart in church. I hate it. I still hate it, but I love that one song. Satellite 15, The Final Frontier. And then, yes, I did lie to Iron Maiden and tell them that
Of course, you lied to Bruce.
I said it was. How do you say? You say Pete. You say it's a challenging record or it's an interesting record. But I did say to Steve Harris,
never a good word.
I couldn't lie about the cover. I'm like, who's that on the cover? He's like, that's Eddie. I'm like, oh, that's Eddie. I go, it looks like Eddie and the Predator had a fucking baby.
Oh,
Maybe I didn't curse, but I did. He's like, yeah, no, that's Eddie. It's a new look with the mandibles. I go, oh, okay. Yeah, that cover sucks.
Better than the
I
Dance
guess it was
of Death
better than
cover.
that other one, the Dance of Death or whatever.
Yeah, that cover sucks.
But
That's the
anyway,
worst-
I love
that's
that
maybe
song.
the worst
Though.
cover ever.
The rest of the album's shit. Terrible.
That is
I would have broke down crying. I would have been like, I can't lie to you, Steve.
You'll know. It's
I've
like Santa
lied to
Claus. You
tons
know.
of rock stars, tons of them, including Bryce's favorite, Blackie Lawless.
Hey, Chris, I'm just glad they didn't do a lot of songs from that album when they toured on that album.
Well, the one song I wanted was that fucking song, and they didn't do it.
I know.
And they've never done it. Not in America.
not here. No, nobody wants to hear that here. No.
No.
All right, Bryce.
Well, Nick, was it a Inquisition song?
It was not.
It was not. Okay, well, my number one is Astral Path to Supreme Majesties by Inquisition from their 2010 album Ominous Doctrines of the Perpetual Mystical Macrocosm.
Chef's kiss.
Yes,
That's a mouthful.
amazing. It is. They got a lot of
It
long,
is.
song titles and album names, but really great band. The early stuff is kind of really raw and dirty and evil sounding. And by this point, 2010, they got better production on their stuff, kind of, more of like a cosmic sound with their stuff, but still maintains that, brutality that they had in the beginning. Just two guys in the band, amazing drumming from this guy Incubus and Dagon on vocals and guitar, amazing guitar player. I think he's got some of the best and most unique riffs. This guy is just absolutely insane. But I really love this whole album. Got a great production, great sound. So that is my number one, Astral Path to Supreme Majesties.
Great
I
choice.
remember the first time I saw them
Awesome.
live, I was like, how the hell are they making all
Yeah.
that noise with just two
How?
guys? I'm
He's
like,
got a hell of a guitar rig. I
yeah.
don't know how he runs it.
Wild.
ugh. Those
Apparently, like they had a bass player early on, and like he was just like a douche or something, and he's just like, you know what? I'm gonna turn my stuff up and tone it to where we don't got to deal with a bass player. And they
you
don't have a
really
bass
miss it.
player.
You don't miss
You don't
it.
miss
No,
it
yeah.
at all.
It's wild.
I remember them playing the Chance. I think Ryan and Nick were in probably Aloe we were all there. Well,
Incorrectly, sir.
Ralph was probably there also.
Yeah.
But they were with Marduk, weren't they?
Mayhem.
Was that what it was?
They were there a couple
I thought it was
times,
with Mayhem.
I've seen them a couple
I
times.
could be
Well, I remember with Mayhem, but
Yeah, may
Oh,
have
maybe it was.
they
They
played
opened
twice.
up for Mayhem there too. I know it was Marduk and Inquisition at one time.
Yeah, I
That was
saw
that
them. I
voice.
saw them both
Oh,
times.
that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
remember
Marduk and Mayhem. Yep.
I don't
And the
remember.
Chance got real metal shows.
Those were the days.
I'm very jealous because I have not seen them yet, and they're my second favorite band. So
Who knows if you'll ever see them now?
Yeah, at this
I
point.
might have to go to Columbia.
Yeah, go to
We
South
may
America.
have to.
We'll see. Yeah,
They played Finland last year. I saw them.
Dead Day,
Yep.
so they are active again.
they are active. Yep.
All right, Karen.
All right, this was really hard because first of all, I thought that everyone would be talking about Hell Await right now. I thought everyone would have said Hell Await. But I'm going with Black Sabbath. It was a toss-up between Black Sabbath, or War Pigs. But I'm gonna go with Black Sabbath. It was scary. Ozzy was singing real low at the time, real guttural, thrilling. It was like listening to a horror movie, and it defined a new musical genre. Not a lot of people could say they do that, and it affected me for the rest of my life. I mean, I'm hooked. Sabbath. There's just that's it for me. Pinnacle.
There you go. Great pick.
That's it. I mean, what else can I say, right? The pinnacle. Hey, way. It's the best ever. That record is I don't know, time capsule shit. I don't know. Here I am. It's extraness. All right, move on. We're getting all
Forgot about
awkward.
the extraness. Forgot about the extraness.
I mean, it's just too
That's a
much.
good word.
Yes, it is. All right, Rob.
Yeah, this was tough for number one. I kind of had a tie, but I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to be the one to go with Black Sabbath War Pigs because, well, I'll tell you why. Because it's the reason why I got into metal was Black
Yeah.
Sabbath.
It
That's
was a
the
tie
reason.
for me.
Because when I first, I heard Paranoid on the radio first, and it was poppy or whatever you want to call it. But when I heard this, when I got the album, that was it. I mean, it just sucked me in, like you were talking about, and then well, I mean, and I was kind of young when this came out, so I didn't really understand the words at first. Later on I understood it more, but just the ominous of the song and the heaviness as it built up and everything. For me, that's my number one song, always will be. And I guess I'll give you my tie later on who I tied it with, but yeah.
Okay.
I just want to say with that, what you're talking about, and with the Sabbath one, that's the picture that Geezer Butler paints with his lyrics are amazing, and they definitely stand the test of time. Just like Steve said, I mean, War Pigs is as relevant as it is today as it was
Especially
when it
now,
was released.
especially where we're
Yeah,
living
I
right
mean,
now.
you
Yeah.
can listen to that, and it takes you right back. It's still relevant. And how old is that record?
1971.
1970.
Gotta
Or
be like-
71.
September 1970.
Well, and that was during the Vietnam War.
Vietnam War, yeah.
Right.
Still going on.
War is war, right?
And I knew guys that were at Vietnam, so when they came
So do I.
back home, and it was tough on a lot of people. So
Yeah. Mhm.
Fuck yeah, hats off to him.
Yep. Ralph.
All right, yeah. So I purposely avoided all the Black Sabbath and Slayer. So I figured everybody be talking about Maiden and all the regular bands. So I went with something that's never probably been talked about on this channel. Is this band Electric Hellfire Club?
Oh,
Nice.
I've heard of them. Yep.
I know.
They starts off with this intro called Invocation, and it goes into the song Age of Fire. It is so blasphemous and so evil, but it's like psychedelic 70s industrial, almost like satanic disco at times. I don't really know anything that sounds like them. They're so unique, but so evil. The guy Thomas Thorne, the singer, used to come out dressed as like a satanic pope. Like, this is like decades before Ghost was doing it.
Yeah.
I got these candles at a show years ago. It's like one of them's to open the gates of hell and unleash its destructive power on an enemy. You light it, and then maybe that happens. And the other one's for infernal
Maybe.
intervention.
Smells like
demonic
potpourri.
It's like a Ouija board.
I might come to the chance this Friday and sit in the parking lot, or maybe go into the show and wait till I get hit with a Bible and then light these. And
Who's at the chance on Friday?
Viper.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Striper's playing. That's right. Yeah.
Oh boy.
So that's my pick. I've seen them a few times back in the day. Really great live band, and check them out if you're into evil, atmospheric shit.
Evil disco.
I saw them open for Fear Factory. They did a special
Oh wow.
release show for like the remix album of Demanufacture, and it was Electric Hellfire Club and Fear Factory for $3. It's in
Where was that?
City. I don't even remember the name of the club.
I've done a
You
city.
didn't even get a Starbucks for $3.
Yeah.
$3.
I'm still going, 1990, must have been like 1996, $3, but still $3 is pretty cheap.
Yeah.
I mean, punk shows in the 80s were $5, and people were like,
Can't even
I
get
mean,
sit in the
that's-
dollar store for $3 now.
yeah, really, $3.
Oh,
Buy
some
that for a
festivals-
dollar.
Some festivals cost you more than that for a fucking bottle of water these days.
Yeah, right on.
Well,
$4,
yeah.
so it was $4 this weekend at Hell's Heroes.
$4 for water. That's a bar.
But it was free water too.
Yes.
You guys been to
yes,
the city
there was.
lately?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? How much is it at a Ranger game? How much? Is it? Like
Probably
$5.
about
$6 or
$10
$7,
at,
right?
at UBS.
Down to push.
$7.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. Nick.
Yes. Hello. Back to
my
me.
name. I am Nicholas. Yes.
Pete, we could pick live albums, right?
No.
Whatever you want.
You know what? I know I'm being mad basic, I guess, for myself, but I have to pick the opening Churchill's speech in Aces High, Live After Death. I know it's typical of me or whatever, but I don't care. I still remember what that felt like listening to that crowd spool up and the airplane engine and then
Yes,
Churchill. God, could we use a leader like Churchill? That dude just, and then like knowing that was really the speech that was given to England when they were like bearing down for attack, and then for them to go in Aces High like that, and the
Amazing.
crowd you hear that crowd just swell. I just remember this is before I ever could even dream of going to a concert, and you look at all the photos. I can't. The adrenaline, the rush that I've felt every single time I played that. And to this day, really, even though I've seen Maiden 20 times, and they've done that exact opening for like at least 2 of the past 4 tours.
A few of them, yeah. They've
Yeah.
I
And
think it was an encore too.
I'm up front as giddy as a goddamn child every time they do that. They just that works, man. That fucking works. So I have to say, Live After Death, the opening.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Right on.
Ryan.
I tell you, speaking of that Maiden stuff, my brain is 100% programmed, even though it's a great song on its own. If I hear Doctor Doctor by UFO, I start looking for like the lights to go down and like Steve Harris just go up.
I don't even know if it's
free,
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
my brain's
probably not
programmed.
not even
Yeah,
healthy
right.
for me to listen to that song, because at the
Yeah.
end, what do I do?
Yeah, it's like let that. And it's like if I can't even put on Strangers in the Night, because like I'm like, oh. Anyway, so I saw this band for the first time 3 times last year. They were amazing. I love them. Obviously, it's very hard to pick your favorite opening track, but I feel like this is as good a contender as any because it's fucking awesome. Not only is it a great song to a great album, but the opening riff, like the way it leads in, just makes you want to flip tables, run through walls, all that great stuff, fall out of trees, whatever you're into. And that song is "Evil" by Merciful Fate off their debut 1983 album, Melissa.
Oof.
Fucking artwork. Yeah, just the way that the
best
whole it's not a
artwork.
weak cut on this album, but the way Evil like kind of leads in with the guitars kick in, the drums, and King come fucking unbelievable. So yeah, I know Karen mentioned their Hell Awaits too, which I consider because
Oh, I know.
again, not only the song but the way it builds in with that,
Yeah.
but I said, you know what, I'm gonna go with Evil because just as blasphemous, just as evil, just as good on the fucking riffs. Amazing. So my number 1 is "Evil" by Merciful Fate.
Killer.
Good choice.
Killer. All right, Craig, what do you got?
My number 1's also a live album, so Nick, you're not alone in your thinking. But mine is you hear like the hum of the amplifiers, then you hear like a little bit of keyboards. It sounds like you're going to go to a race. You hear some like polite clapping. And then you hear the singer saying, there's a song called Highway Star,
Nice.
and it just blasts out, just explodes. Whenever I hear this song, I want to drive faster. I want to lift more weights. I want to run faster. I want to, pick up a car and throw it. This does everything for it. Always loved this, and it's just, whenever I hear it, it just pumps you up and everything, and it's a great opener for this album.
I would agree 100%. Excellent. All right, Butch's number 1 is "Gangland" by Tigers of Pantang.
Wow.
That's
That's a good song.
Yep, exactly.
Oh.
All right, my top pick. It's one of the great openers of all time. It is the first song from an album called "Peace of Mind," "Where Eagles Dare" by Iron Maiden.
Wow.
Nico McBrain joins the band, and that's his first statement. One of the best, right? Such a great song. One of my favorite Maiden songs of all time, and my favorite Maiden album. So that's my number 1 pick. So all
I
right.
thought you would pick King Crimson.
Well, I could have, but I probably
I thought
I should
that
probably
was your
save that
first-
for when we do this topic on In the Proxy, Karen.
Oh, okay.
There you
I kind of wanted to save, yeah, I kind of wanted to save the prog stuff for that because I had some on my list. I'm like, I'm gonna hold on to that.
Okay, all right, my bad. Sorry.
No,
Couple of-
but of
Might
course,
be a yes song there somewhere too.
possibly, Steve. You never know. All right, so I know we're running along, so we'll have everybody. If you got some honorables, just you don't have to tell stories about them. Just run through them real quick. So we'll go back to Steve.
Bang 'em out.
I'll do it real quick. Aerosmith, Toys in the Attic. That is one. Judas Priest, Painkiller.
Oh yeah, shit.
I was wondering when I was gonna hear Painkiller.
Van Halen, off the Women and Children First, and the Cradle Will Rock.
Yes. Yeah.
Just to get you guys mad, I'm thinking about Black Sabbath. You guys I kind of portrayed this as picking one where the song is better than the rest of the album. Never Say Die from 1978.
Woo!
Dig that song.
That is
That's
better
one of
than, that is
Chris's
better than the
favorite
rest of the
records.
album. I will agree with you on that one.
Shockwave's pretty damn good.
It is.
Oof.
Air Dance.
I love Air Dance. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. Scowl for the win.
More love the Scowl.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
John
Get a
Clayton.
room, you two. Get a room.
I know it's
It's not a
wonderful
room at the
seeing
Heights
this
Hotel,
happening
Chris.
all
You won't
the while.
sleep.
We're going out for
true.
ice cream tomorrow night.
Yeah, gotta share an ice cream cone.
You're gonna share a milkshake.
Share a milkshake, one straw.
Oh.
Our dogs will even lick each other.
All right, let's go. Move on.
All right, Chris. Of course, you want to. You
No.
got to pick the lead off.
I got
choker
nothing.
for
This
right?
episode's too long. Let's go.
Yeah, right
Got
on.
nothing. All right, Bryce.
Well, as I said, I wanted to mix it up a little bit, but like my three favorite songs ever are Stranglehold, Holy Wars, and Painkiller.
Yeah.
So-
Wait for Stranglehold all day. It's on
Yeah.
my list too.
Yeah, those are like my three favorite songs ever. Just I talked about them a million times, so wanted to mix it up here. Lady Red Light by Great White, another one that came to mind for me. And Voice of the Cult by Chastain.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah.
Nice. Cool. All right, Karen.
Stooges, Search and Destroy, The Ramones, Blitzkrieg Bop, Slayer, of course, Hell Awaits, Venom, Black Metal, Celtic Frost, Into Crypta, Raise. This one is for my dad, Duke Ellington, 70th anniversary concert, Rockin' in Rhythm. I love that song. I love that. That is perfect for me. Move on.
Nice. All right, nice, Rob.
All right. What was?
Oh wait,
what-
one more. Can I say one more? The
Yeah.
rip-offs. Okay, rip-offs got a record. Rip my heart out. Okay, so go ahead.
My tie for the Sabbath one was going to be Priest Painkiller.
All
So
right.
I got to give love. Testament, practice what you preach. Motorhead, Ace of Spades, of course. 2112. Nobody would. I know nobody. You're gonna talk
How
about-
did we miss that one?
Yeah.
Come on, man. Slayer, Angel of Death, Rain and Blood.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'm surprised nobody said Megadeth, Rust in Peace, Holy Wars.
Oh,
I was holding off for Bryce.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
I
I mean
had-
that yeah.
Iron Maiden caught somewhere at the time, and and a little classic called "More Than a Feeling" by Boston.
little mild classic, right?
Oh, you know,
Look at Nick's face.
Had a couple 2-3 sales.
Boston Rock.
Couple 2-3 sales.
A beer commercial. Come on.
Ralph.
Beer
Right, Chris's
commercial.
first two picks, Destruction, the Curse of the Gods, and Cro-Mags, We Gotta Know.
Yeah.
Then I got cues from Martha's Splatterhead's Maddest Stories Ever Told, Psychomania, She's
wow,
Dead.
that-
Oh, shit, it's a great cover.
Nice choice.
And you guys talk about Fear Factory with their doing the heavy singing and then the clean vocals, but years before Fear Factory, this band Sheer Terror, Just Can't
Love
Hate
'em.
Enough album.
Right on.
They
Love them.
they're the Celtic Frost meets New York hardcore, and he was doing this years before Fear Factory.
Yeah.
Was, And then my last one was at the Anthems at the Welkin at Dusk. Ye in Trans Imperium, and it starts
Great
off
song.
with the Oath intro.
Alsvarder.
This goes into those whirlwind guitar riffs and stuff, and it's just a great. It's not my favorite song on the album, like a lot of these are, but it just starts it off perfectly, and it's a great first track for the album, and that's it.
Cool. Nice.
Hell yeah.
Nick,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes.
Gotta
Fucking
have
overkill.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm gonna go with "Ram It Down" by Judas Priest. I love that.
That's a great song.
Yeah, right
Ram It
on.
Down.
Not the best album, but a great
Right,
song.
No.
right. It is the
Yeah.
yeah.
There's a couple of good
Rapture,
songs.
Morbid Angel, Rapture.
Good song.
Father, why have you forsaken me? Bum, 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 bum. Once Upon the Cross, the aside. Your old me. Woo. No more CCD, Mom. Werewolf by Marduk, then their latest album. Love that. Starts with the air raid siren. And Holy Wars, The Punishment Due by Megadeth.
Cool.
And Venom Black
We
Metal.
need more Deicide on the channel.
Yeah.
Old Deicide rules.
Ryan.
I got 4. I'll go through them real quick. Ralph mentioned Bathory, so I'm going to go to the next album. Bloodfire Death. Odin's Ride Over Nordland. Great intro track. Goes into A Fine Day to Die. One of the first times black metal was like epic and fist pounding and that, it's one of the first black metal albums ever, but still, great fucking song. The definitive song statement from this Norwegian band. The band is Dark Throne. The album's Transylvanian Hunger, and the song is Transylvanian Hunger. First song I ever heard from them in some dude's garage when I was like 18. It blew 100 holes in my fucking head. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Let's go back in time. Not the best album from the band, but a great singer and a great, great opening song. The singer was John Lawton. The band is Uriah Heep. The album is Firefly by Uriah Heep, and the song is The Hanging Tree, which is my favorite John Lawton vocal performance. It just gives you fucking goosebumps. And throwing this one out for Bryce, this is my favorite album by the band, and I think the best song they ever fucking wrote. The band is Wasp. It is The Headless Children, and the song is The Heretic,
Wow.
The Wild.
Oh my God.
Lost Child.
Fucking
Great,
awesome.
great fucking song. I love it. I play this album all the time. It's great. I don't give a fuck. That's it. That's all I got.
All
A
right.
flippity fuck.
Nice,
Don't give a
That's
flippity
like a
fuck.
flippity fuck.
All right, Craig.
I have Aerosmith's Draw the Line, Nazareth's Razamanaz for Dan McCafferty, Ted Nugent's Paralyzed,
Nice.
and Sepultura, Refuse, Resist.
Wow.
Awesome. All right, cool. All right, let me run through mine real quick here. Stand Up and Shout from Dio, Holy Diver. Gotta have that. How about Mississippi Queen by Mountain?
Oh yeah.
Know what I mean?
Yeah.
Know what
Good
I mean.
choice.
How about, I'm amazed Rob didn't mention this. How about Day of the Eagle by Robin Trower from Bridge of Sighs? Gotta have that.
Yeah.
Crying in the Rain from the Whitesnake self-titled 87 album. Deuce from Kiss Alive.
Yeah.
Opening track. Deep Purple, Speed King from In Rock. Fight Fire with Fire from Ride the Lightning, Metallica.
Yeah.
It'll hold as well. How about Summertime Blues from Blue Cheers, Vincibus Erupt?
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta have that.
Damn right.
Frank Zappa, Inca Rose from One Size Fits All. Uriah Heep, Gypsy from Very Heavy, Very Humble. Killer track. How about Hocus Pocus from Focus from the Moving Waves album?
Woo!
In for the Kill, the title track of Budgie's 4th album. Great song. Trouble at the End of My Days from the self-titled Trouble album.
We were
Spirit
talking about
Radio
that.
from Rush's Permanent Waves, and my last one was Overkill from Motorkill. Overkill from Motorkill. Overkill from Motorhead.
Overkill from Overkill. Overkill.
Hey, and
from
Pete,
It's a new band.
Pete, I was gonna say these guys too. Initiation, I'm Alive.
There you go. I'm
Whoa.
Alive is a great song.
Yeah.
Great pick.
Oh, and great interview you did, Pete, with
Yeah, that was
Michael
good
from
interview.
Halloween.
Thank you. He was awesome.
That
He
was a
so
surprise when I looked at my Facebook feed to see you talking with him this morning. That's
Yeah,
great.
he was great. Yeah, he was really fun to talk to. Very cool dude. So I was glad.
That's
to-
awesome.
So
Can't wait
there you
to
have it,
see that
everybody.
tour.
Our favorite opening tracks on some cool albums and even some shitty albums, right? But the main thing is that first track, that opener, is killer. So list your favorites down in the comments below. And we'll see you in 2 weeks here on the Hudson Valley Squares. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube all together. All.
All
All
the
the
damn
damn time.
With Steve, Chris, Bryce, Karen, Rob, Ralph, Nick, Ryan, and Craig. I am Pete. Have a good one, everybody. We'll see you on Wednesday for new album review day. Till then, have a good one, everybody.
Good metal.